Hi, this is Clint Cora. Let's say you're a certified scuba diver and you want to get out in the ocean and see big animals. I'm talking about sharks, rays, barracuda. You may have heard that the best way to see a lot of big animals is by a live-aboard dive trip. A live-aboard is when you actually stay on a boat to eat, sleep, and dive from the same boat. You're on that same boat for anywhere from a few days to up to 2 weeks. A live-aboard can go out to the more remote dive sites that land-based dive operators, they just can't reach. But let's say you're not ready for a live-aboard. So the question now is it still possible to see lots of big animals out there by just using land-based dive operators? Fortunately, the answer is yes. Today, I'm going to show you some of the most memorable big animal dive encounters that I've done, all by using land-based dive operators. Here we go. One of the best ways to see lots of sharks at the same time and on a pretty well guaranteed basis is to take a specific shark dive. Now, the shark dives that I've been to were in the Caribbean, in the Bahamas off Nassau, and also off St. Martin. Both of these locations offer dive trips to see sharks in a very similar way. As you can see, basically what happens is that they organize you at the bottom of the dive site in a group, and then a dive master comes along to feed the sharks. The sharks will come from all sorts of different directions. I even remember that at one point there was a shark that came up from behind me and grazed its belly on the top of my head. It was awesome. So there's also shark dives off Grand Bahama Island as well, also in the Bahamas. Another great big animal encounter would be with the stingrays. Now, to my knowledge, the only place in the world where you can have pretty safe encounters with stingrays would be at a dive site called Stingray City. This is off Grand Cayman Island in the Cayman Islands. Now, in this particular dive site, it's actually really easy. It's a really shallow dive. It's only about 15 feet. In fact, they call it the world's best 15-foot dive trip. And in this location, over the years, the stingrays have become accustomed to divers. In fact, the dive masters actually recommend, or they encourage, that you actually feed the stingrays with squid that they provide. Now, if you look close again in this video, you're going to see that actually one of the stingrays gets a little too close to me and actually hits me in the face mask by accident. But I was never in danger. It's all fun. So that's Stingray City. If you want to see sea lions, one of the best places to see them would be down in the Cabo area of Mexico. I went to this area and there are 2 uninhabited small islands where there are sea lions there. Now, you can see these pretty well all year round, and it's pretty well guaranteed because these sea lion colonies live there all year round. They're permanent colonies. And usually it's the younger, the smaller sea lions, they call them puppies. They're the ones that are going to be really curious and come check you out. The bigger adults are usually out in the background just overseeing their kids. But this is a great, great dive. Now, a dolphin dive is a very special dive. This is one of the most special, most memorable dives I've ever done. And yeah, there are places in the world where you can go to dolphin sanctuaries and swim with dolphins, but to actually scuba dive with them and to have interactions, well, I'm only aware of one location, and that is off Freeport on Grand Bahama Island in the Bahamas. Basically, what you do here is that the dive boat will go by a dolphin sanctuary and pick up some dolphins and then go out to the open ocean. Now, they don't guarantee interaction. These dolphins are not forced to go and interact with you. They can do whatever they want once they're out in open waters. But usually what happens is that when you get to a specific dive site, they organize you at the bottom of the dive site. It's about 50 feet deep. And then the dolphins will come and do some really fun interactions, as you'll see over here. And the 2 times that I've done dolphin dives, the dolphins were pretty cooperative. And that's because they get treats by the dive masters. But this is a lot of fun. There are places around the world to see manta rays, but one very special place to do this would be off Kona in Big Island, Hawaii. Now, all the dive operators, as far as I know, off Kona do these manta ray dives. What's unique about them is that they're all night dives. And as you can see here, the divers shine lights up towards the surface. This attracts plankton, which in turn attracts the manta rays. And as you can see, the manta rays get very close to the divers. They do these really cool upside down barrel rolls, just like fighter planes. There was one big manta ray they called Big Bertha. This was a female that weighs about 1,700 pounds, has a wingspan about 17 feet with a mouth 3 feet wide. We saw Big Bertha during the 2 times we did these manta ray dives out of Kona, Big Island, Hawaii. This is a world-class dive. One of the big animals a lot of divers want to see are whale sharks. In most places around the world, you have to go in season. Now, I went down to Honduras in the island of Utila during the spring. This was their whale shark season. And unfortunately for us at that time, we spent 3 days looking for whale sharks and we didn't even see one. Fortunately, I finally did see my first whale shark back in the Cabo area. That's the Baja area of Mexico. Now, this is not really a scuba dive. Like a lot of encounters with whale sharks, they are snorkeling trips. And in this case here, basically the boat will spend a day in the harbor looking for whale sharks. Once they spot a whale shark, they'll go intercept it. And you have to have your snorkel gear all ready to jump into the ocean. They feel that if you put on scuba gear, things are going to be too slow and the whale shark will be gone by the time you get in the water. So they encourage that you do this only by snorkeling. There are other places in the world too, for example near Cozumel, in an island called Isla Mujeres, and also another site around there called Holbox. These are in season and these are strictly snorkeling type of encounters. But I did mine in the Baja area of Mexico. Another great big animal encounter which is usually neglected is with manatees. And these are special because manatees, depending on where you go, are sometimes listed as endangered species. I did my manatee encounter here strictly as a snorkel trip because apparently manatees don't like scuba diving bubbles. And you have to do this in season. I did my manatee encounter here at a place called Crystal River, which is just a little bit north of Tampa in Florida. During the winter, manatees come in from the open ocean and they come into the rivers where the water is a little bit warmer. Now, these encounters are very regulated. There are park rangers watching you all the time. Their rule is that you cannot swim after the manatees for interactions. You have to wait for them to come to you. So this was a very special encounter. Again, this is off Crystal River, off Tampa in Florida. I hope you enjoyed all that video. Now, I would totally recommend all of these big animal dive trips that I've done. They're just awesome, all by land-based dive operators. Now, I'm going to show you a link to a blog page where I describe all of these trips in a little more detail, and I also talk about which actual land-based dive operators I used. Now, of course, if you want to go even more and go on one of these liveaboard trips, I'm also going to show you a link to my main scuba diving webpage where you can see more resources on how to search for these liveaboard trips. So I'm going to have all that information for you. Hope you'll find it useful. Thanks for watching.